Hey there, how are you doing? I am very excited. Thank you so much for connecting me. Salt and pepper, that's what I call them. I thank you so much for connecting me. I am just going to talk about just a little bit of some things that have been on my spirit for quite some time. And I never knew that I would have this moment where I would broadcast in my living room. Rusty, stop it. And tell my dog to stop it on live TV or broadcast, whatever. And so I'm glad that I'm able to be in this moment, and I'm glad that you're able to be here as well. Jill and I have been discussing this for some time now, and we've just been talking about peace. And then we realized that your choice determines what your peace will be, your choices. And it surprised me because I got the revelation 2014, I believe, that, Deron, this is about your choices. And you have to start deciding what you choose. And that your choice dictates what type of peace you will have. Peace, P-E-A-C-E. And I began to just be blown away with choice. And every time we happened to be in Clearwater, Florida, and we were taking a long awaited break from just burning the candle at both ends and everything. And it came across, I was able to observe my choices and see the choices I had made over that past year. And I said, wow, you got to make sure you make the right choices. And that's been what I have patterned myself after that season. I took that in, and then I wrote different papers on choices. And there's a statement that says, as little as he knew, he did not know. But you have to understand that some authors use little did he know, because we don't realize everything that's going to happen when it comes to our choices. I just sent out a group text to several men that I admired, and I admire their choices since we have crossed paths. And I've seen them make quite a few choices to take care of the family, their family, the family of God, which are the soldiers, the saints, those who show up and visit. And I didn't realize that 20 years later, I would look at this moment and become so refreshed with the fruit that I would experience from the work and the journey that Jill and I was on, and several other people lined up alongside us, and they made vows to do this as well. And today I sent a group text out because one of my best friend's daughter is accepted to a college. And I remember when she was really just down here in terms of a pre-teenager, pre-teen. I'm trying to think of what it is. I forgot the name of it, but I didn't know that I would one day see her and several of my other good friends' daughters go to college. And a couple of them, I say, he is receiving what he sowed. I'll leave the names out, but they got a bunch of daughters. And they it's a God practical joke, because they have had to be real men. One of my friends went to his daughter's career day, or I think they had, and he was supposed to come in and speak to the class, and because it was dads, they had taken over. They were supposed to take over and do that day. And he said when he got there, he realized with the questions that he asked, most of the kids in the class didn't have a dad that was in their life or that they got to spend time with. And he was like, he couldn't believe that this is what was happening. And so I thought that would be the last time I've heard that. But I've seen the crisis in our community, and it's in all communities, but it's really pervasive in our community, because I've always been captured by the relationship or relationships in our community. And they were often very, very, how would you say it? They were very, very antagonistic. And I saw that in many different forms. And I learned that something is happening. And then by the time I got into a relationship or two, I was able to experience the same tit for tat, that same being angry over this and that. And so by the time I spent several years doing plays, didn't know that people would begin to show up wherever I was, because no boyfriend girlfriend thing was ever the same that I did. Boyfriend girlfriend thing, that's the one man play I did. Two young, immature individuals lacking in maturity and judgment, holding personal regards and affections for another. God said, let us create a what? Man. She asked for a boy what? Friend. And when he acts like a boy, she can't understand. Because what she want? A man. But she got exactly what she asked for. That understanding was given to me 20 some odd years ago. And that was the first revelation that I got concerning the boyfriend girlfriend thing. And I realized that it's still going on today. And so what most sisters need is a man friend. And I have watched men slide their way into sister's presence. And that's what I want to talk about, Lord willing, over the next few minutes. I call them passive masters. PASSIVES. Massive master passes. Passes. And I didn't know that I would spend my life encountering this behavior. The first time I did it, I lived in New York, and I went there in some summers, and I was riding my bike, and I had to be 8 or 9. I was probably 8, and with some other guys in the neighborhood. And then one guy, I was following him because I didn't know where we were going. And he put on brakes. And I ran into his bike and fell. And I was like, hey, why didn't you tell me that you were stopping or turning? And he said, I said, let me say that again. He said, I said. And I remember looking at him like, how can you say you said that? And you didn't say it out loud, you said it under your breath. That was the beginning of my journey of understanding passive men, passive women, passive people. And because I was in drama, which involved bringing groups of people together to make sure that we were rehearsed and things of that nature. And because I grew up playing football in the rec centers, in DC rec centers, in recreation centers in Maryland, I got to experience the energy that is prevalent even more so in our community. And today, what I'd like to be able to do is help you somehow improve your relationship with your loved ones, with those the ones you love, those who love you. And according to some of the past psychologists who have studied, they found out that passive aggressive people are masters at remaining calm. Passive aggressive people are masters at remaining calm and feigning shock. So let's just deal with this. There's some people who have learned through their upbringing, through their childhood, through their journey in their life, the best thing to do is remain calm, or feigning, which means to fake shock while others are worn down by his or her indirect hostility. So we're getting there now. When you are someone who is a master at remaining calm, remaining and not allowing yourself to be riled, to be stirred up, and your claim to fame is they'll never know how I feel. Well, and then you feign shock. When I was passive, at the times that I remember that I could be passive, You would act when you were shocked when you heard some news or something that you already knew, but you didn't want them to know that you knew. And so you're like, what? Oh my God, what? Man, get out of here. Get out of here. And you would do that. I would do that. And you've worn down people with your indirect hostility. In other words, master passives have honed the skills of how to use their anger indirect. And so, and then what they learn to do is turn the tables on you and blow up in anger. Even worse, this person, when you're a master passive, can take pleasure out of setting others up to go off. Hear this out. I learned over the years that certain people got an inner shot that would make them feel good. I'm thinking it's called a dopamine hit. That when they got someone who they thought was strong or thought was dominant, they learn, how do I get them to blow up, go off the handle? And then they get, and I've seen these men, they comment, why are you overreacting? I'm just asking you. I mean, all I said was, I mean, what's the deal? Are you mad? Are you, I mean, why are you going off? And if you're a person who stays in touch with reality a lot more than most people do, you're asking them, why are you acting like you don't know that you're doing something or that you're moving in rebellion or anger or something? And I'm just trying to have a conversation. Master passives or passive masters, they learn how to communicate because they've often grown up or was trained by adults who would dominate their space, dominate their will, dominate their clothing choice. I knew a father, and he had a big thing with making his son match. And he would get upset if his son wasn't matching. And he would look at his son's clothing before he left the house and say, no, you got to put this on, put that on, and make sure you put this on. But it was really him. He liked to match, but he also put this on his son, and it angered his son. There are some telltale signs you are a passive master, someone who is a passive aggressor. Now, get what I'm saying. If you're going to choose her peace, Peace, you're going to have to make a choice to choose not to be passive in your communications, to keep your word, and not to speak in such a way where she's looking at you like this while you're talking, because she knows you're just talking. And so there are signs that, and they're telltale signs that you're being a passive aggressor, a passive aggression. And I didn't know this, guys, until I tried to start bands. And I did it. But the emotional commotions that I experienced, I felt like unsung. I just didn't get big hits. And you can be a passive aggressor without realizing. So let me just go through it. I'm really enjoying doing this. Have you ever answered no when someone asked you if you were upset? I'm going to ask you again. Have you ever answered no when someone asked you if you were upset? What's your answer to that question? If that woman behind me right here, that's Jill. That's me, a younger version. When she asked me, was I upset? I'd be like, oh, I'm good, I'm good. You already know, just the way I'm talking. Oh, I'm good. That your voice, my voice would change. Oh, I said, no, I'm all good. One time, I did a play and my mother and my sister came to the play. And it was I can't think of the name of it. It was a one-man play, and it was about the young girl needing a cover, someone to make sure they're watching her back. And on the way home after the play, which was customary, I would call my mother and hopefully get to hear some accolades, some positive things or something like that. But this particular night, the conversation didn't go like that. And she began to criticize a few things. Now get this, me and her, we are at tremendous peace and understanding and love. But that day, as a mother, she responded by saying a few things. So by the time I got home and sat on the couch, it was right, the couch right behind me. It wasn't that same couch. It was another brown couch that was behind me. I called my wife and I told her what happened. And when I came in, and I was sitting on the couch, and I said, "But you know, I'm good. I'm good." And Jill said, "No, you're not good." I said, "No, I'm good, for real, I'm good." She says, "No, you're not good." Thank God for a woman who speaks truth. Because I would later learn that she is the keeper of truth, that she is the protector of truth, that she is the truth. And I realized that when she said that, I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And I realized I was trying to just move forward because Once I entered passive aggressive territory, I would now try to learn how to master the passive zone. Once I did that. Now, why am I passive? Because my father also was a very dominant person. So he could out-talk me, outspeak me. So in order to talk with him, I had to be on it, on top of it. And because he was an attorney and my mother was also going to school to be an attorney, and so was he at that time, he made sure he communicated to me, and I learned how to have my story together because I knew he was going to ask me questions. But what I don't understand is that when you are with a aggressive parent that is not aware of their aggression, pop you in the head and all that kind of stuff, you learn how to create the passive zone. You learn to say you agree when your actions are otherwise. You say, yeah, I'll be home, but you don't show home until you're ready to get home. You learn to say you agree, but you take other actions. I've seen women say, that's not what you said we were going to do or what you were going to do. That's not what you told me that this was happening. I mean, I've seen men go out and buy cars and never tell their wife that they were going to buy a car and just bring it home and pull it into the driveway. And I remember trying to have a couple of conversations, but I realized trying to talk to a passive master will provoke you to a lot of irritation and a lot of dark space. And so when given a task they don't really want to do, a passive aggressive person will appear to agree, sometimes even enthusiastically. One time I went to a speaking engagement and I invited several brothers to go with me. And the man that spoke was so good. And when we came out of the room, the brother grabbed on my shoulders like, yeah, man, this is great. This is great. Huh? But I didn't believe him. Emotionally, I didn't feel like he was being real. And as it turns out, he wasn't. But at this point, he had to stick around because by that time, he was also getting paid. Well, they sound like they're going to enthusiastically agree and go with what you're going to be doing. And then they express anger and resentment by failing to follow through or missing deadlines. So if you are a master passive, the way you show your anger is through resentment by failing to follow through or missing deadlines. All right, you know you're supposed to turn it in, you know you're supposed to get this done, but you put it off. Now I'll do it later. I'm gonna take care of it. I got that, sweetheart. All right, baby. Boo, I got you. But while you're talking like that, you already know, damn, I ain't doing that. That ain't something I'm gonna do. Or you're saved. Damn. To hell and back. I'm not doing that. You learn that you get ahead by being able to resent. And it's in your mind that I don't even want them to know that they have gotten into my head. You're angry, but you never say so. I've seen brothers say they're not mad, but they're seeing red. I've had women over the years, you know, our ministry has been one about discipleship, one about training, one about helping you to get your character in order, changing lives from the inside out. And there are some people who see red, but they'll never tell you. And unfortunately, I didn't know the magnitude of what I'm talking about right now. I didn't know its magnitude when I was first experiencing it. And that your encounters with these passive aggressors would leave such baggage on your soul that it'll be hard for you to let go and be free and open. I just thought about a brother. We had just gotten to know each other, or we were getting to know each other, and we took a drive to, he drove with me to a away conference that we were having. And so I'm in the passenger seat, and he's driving, and he said, you know, I don't talk a lot. You got to get to know me first before I talk, but you got to get to know me. And I was like, yeah, but you got to be able to, you know, communicate. And he was adamant, no, it take me a while just to get to know somebody. So by the time we got to the conference center, I just gave him a few scriptures. And I told him about Watchman Nee's book. Watchman Nee, I believe it's Understanding Authority. And the book showed, let me just do this real quick. We're taking a break for running our master passive. Here we go. Watchman Nee's book on authority. There you go. Spiritual authority. Watchman Nee. While I was talking to this brother, I had already studied spiritual authority. I had a pastor tell me about it. I went to Baltimore to do a play, and when I got up there, I was very assertive in what I said, and it was a very powerful presentation. But I also was angry and didn't know that I was angry. And I began to say some really harsh things to the audience because I'm trying to keep it street. And he came to me afterwards and he told me, he said, son, that was really good. He said, but I'm going to challenge you to read Watchman Nee's Spiritual Authority. And I said, okay. And because I learned from my own father to read, I said, that's what I'll do. I had no idea that this book was going to change my life. And it was going to tell me who had authority, who didn't have the authority, what the authority was, the different types of authority. And I realized that I was off. So when we got to the conference center, I said, hey man, you need to read on this because I'm going to be in my room reading too some other things I'd like to read. But you got to use this time to grab hold of that. And fortunately, he did read it. And over time, he made quite a few adjustments. And so, going back to the signs that you are a passive master, meaning you have mastered passive aggression. Number one, you sulk, you pout. You got it down to feeling bad and changing your face. And I've been around brothers and sisters who, if something doesn't go their way, you know. They know how to look at you. And when you sulk, you learn how to withdraw from communication, and you learn to confront by sulking. Now, how did this come about? I've learned when you are motivated by the belief that if I express how I feel, it's going to make my life worse. See, I'm trying to challenge you, my friend. If you're in a relationship and the voice that's beckoning you to follow its path is this passive voice that says, pout, sulk. It's actually a way to avoid confrontation, because if they see you're feeling bad, they may not mess with you. They may not say anything to you. And if they don't say anything to you, then it didn't go bad. And this is a belief that you learned when you were growing up. Often that adults could not take it when you spoke truth to them. Because if you spoke your truth and you didn't know it was your truth, you were just talking. But after a while, you realize they know how to make my life worse. Every time I come around, they make my life worse. Well, I just studied the life of Roxanne Shante. Roxanne. And in me studying her life and what she went through, when she does her first hit song was I gotta look it up. That's something else. You're gonna get it wrong. Roxanne Shante's first song. Roxanne's Revenge. That is the one she sang in the laundry room of an apartment building. And Marley Marl played a beat for her. He had asked her, could she come and spit a couple of lines for him? And she did that in 10 minutes. And they played the beat, boom, bat, boom, bat, boom, bat. And she began to sing about Brooklyn and about, I wish I knew the other one. Yeah, she was 14, and she started the world's first rap beef. And she sang a song called Roxanne's Revenge. And at 14, she said that I decided that I was not going to play the men's game. Meaning I was not, if they could speak their truth, speak the truth, then I could speak the truth too. And she said, I took on their persona. And I said, if they can act like they don't care, I can act like I don't care. And she started battling with people who rapped. And she would put them down every time. She said, I've never written a rap down. I've never memorized a rap in the sense that I wrote it down. She said, I did it all off the top of my head and I still do it. Every concert, and I get it, every concert is not the same because she's always rapping off of her head from her memory. The boyfriend-girlfriend thing, one of the things I heard often for years, and I didn't understand it until it's understanding until now even more, is that people would come to the play, the boyfriend-girlfriend thing, and they said, it's never the same. Now, it took me years later, and I learned this about 10 years ago. I didn't study the lines. I just made sure I had an outline of where I was going, and I just trusted creativity. Now, I didn't know that's what I was doing. I was just like very confident. And I believed in God, and I believed in the call that he had given me. And I would always do the show. And every night was different. I had some of the same lines that I remembered, but I also chose to go however I was led that evening. So now, I'm reading a note, trying to understand it. This decision to be angry, but act like you're not, creates people's space toxic. It makes relationships toxic. And as a mother, especially many of us who have grown up with mothers who have been hurt, bitter, beat, bullied, the mother will begin to sometimes go off on her child, fuss, criticize, cuss around her child, because she's not talking about the child per se. She's already present with the man who did this to her. And so many mothers have to be careful, because the brother will come in and really bring strife. I thank God for my wife, because I learned she grew up in Southeast, and this is Southeast before it was Southeast DC. There was a part of Southeast that was project oriented, and it was about being abandoned, abuse, all these different things. And she had to fight. My wife enrolled herself into another school when she was 11. She left home at 11, went to her father's house, asked to stay with him, and because she was just tired of the stuff she was experiencing. And went to the school that was near his house and enrolled herself. I used to ask her, are you saying that you did this? She said, I did this at 11 and they took me into the school. So she learned to fight. Then she explains to me at times that Talita, if some girls came out the house, she tells me, hold the baby. So which one of y'all want to go down first? Now, she said it more creative than what I just said. But she learned not to back down. Well, with that type of personality, that's why if you see those eyes, those are her eyes. With that type of personality, I realized you got to be careful. And you got to speak truth. And I learned, don't be passive. Don't procrastinate. And don't directly refuse the truth until you know the whole truth and what's going on, and learn to cooperate. So if you're a massive passive, you get off on being able to provoke people. You get off on being smarter. I've told some, you're trying to match wits with me, and I'm not doing that. You are expecting something. What I remember I asked this one brother, I said, tell me something. Do you think you're a good son? Because no matter what we talked about, he would not accept responsibility. And he would find a way to dance around it, or he was creative in his language. And I knew he was a good guy, but at the same time, I was frustrated because we would drive a couple of miles down the street talking. And because I'm taking on the mantle of, I can help disciple these brothers, and I can help him if he would just trust God and follow him. And I'm seeing it right now. It was up to him or anybody else I was teaching and walking with to teach them to trust God. And when I asked him, do you think you're a good son? He said, yeah, I think I am. And I said, well, what has your father shown you that you're good? And that's when I realized his father, we both realized, he knew it, but his father was down with controlling. And so he had to learn how to navigate. Excuse me. Sneezes. So I'm hoping I've blessed someone. And that is, do you stir up trouble while becoming a master of not rocking the boat of emotions? Have you come to the point where you stir up trouble, but you don't rock the boat, so can't nobody really point you down? Well, that's a part of being a passive master. And I decided that I'm going to talk directly to my wife. I'm going to be real. And I don't ever want her to see. Then I got my daughter, change the clock. Her daughter, yeah, her daughter's in that picture. That's Zuri and Talita. That's Zuri right there. That's me. And this is our dog, Rusty. My wife had these pictures done. They're pop art. They took our actual pictures. And I want y'all to see Zuri and Talita. See that right there? They took her actual pictures, our pictures, and they put them in cartoon form. So that sign say, "This is us," behind me. I don't think you can read it. Let me try to read it. Our life, our story, our home. And so this entire thing back behind me, it explains our journey. And she got our dog to be painted, and she had a picture of him and sent that, and they put some kind of king's royalty outfit. And he's next to Zuri because that's Zuri's best friend. He's the only dog that I've had that gets to sleep on my blanket that's on the floor now, because my granddaughter grabbed it and put it on the floor. And it was my couch blanket. But I had to let it go because they were tussling on the blanket, and I knew it was going to smell like my dog. And I said, Duran, you've had that blanket for years. Let it go. And I didn't take it out on her or on the dog or anything, because I've learned, give love, because the love you give is the light you give to the world. Hopefully I gave you love and are helping you to understand, to acknowledge your anger, and to observe yourself to see, am I a schnizzle starter? Do I start schnizzle? Or am I the person who brings harmony to the situation? If you want peace in your home, my friend, you got to bring peace. And you got to be a man of peace, a woman of peace. And they know this. I told my wife in the last 2 weeks, I just broke down crying to her. And I said, I'm so glad that I know you and I've got you. And I chose you and you chose me, because you have a great memory. And you get to remember things that I couldn't remember or connect the dots. But by the time I get to hear the story retold, and I know I trust you, I learned, bring God into your arguments, bring God into your debates, bring God into your hot, aggressive discussions, and allow God to bring peace. This is all about Kids Eat Free. See those two sisters right there? That's Talita and that's Zuri. They took a picture together. I've decided I want to continue to live, and I can't allow my space to be brought down by other people who are not focused on being present. And thanks to this woman right here, I love her. And I make sure that I bring her peace as much as I can. And when I don't, I'll get it together and I'll repent. Because this is America. Look at those glasses. This is America. That's it, my friends. I'm going to bless you. Also, if you would like to support what we do here at Soldiers, go to Kids Eat Free. In fact, I think we just did a food drop. think. I'm not sure. Go to Kids Eat Free or go to Soldiers Outreach. And you can give, but know this. Become present in the moments. I love you. This is a sign and sign language. I love you and I beat you to it. God bless you. Kids Eat Free, Soldiers, Soul Factory. Feels good.